Hi, this is Chrissy, and in this video I'm going to go over how to get the Darkmaul mount. This mount is one of the special mounts that was introduced in the Korthia area. In order to obtain Darkmaul, you need to first loot 10 tasty mushrooms from around Korthia. Tasty mushrooms are a bit difficult to get. They can only be looted from invasive mushrooms. Invasive mushrooms spawn in various locations. The way these are set up are similar to chests in other areas. There are 5 different groups of invasive mushrooms. You can only loot one from each group per day. It's random on which one is available to loot, and when someone else loots the invasive mushroom, it triggers a timer and the mushroom despawns after a certain amount of time. They respawn again, possibly in a different spot, but within their group. Now you just saw all of the different groups separately, so you could see each group area. I've colored each group a different color and combined them into one map here. If you like using coordinates, you can always check Wowhead, but there are also add-ons that can show you these locations and track when you've looted one from the group already for the day. So the map might have all of these locations on them, hopefully color coordinated as well. And when you loot one from group 1, let's say, all of those group 1 dots will disappear for the day because you can't get another one from that group on that character. Overall, you only have 5 chances at picking up a tasty mushroom each day. The chances of looting an invasive mushroom are not completely known. It seems to be pretty low for people now. The drop rate may have changed after a later patch, but Blizzard won't tell us that information, so you just have to keep trying. Once you have all 10 tasty mushrooms, you head over to Darkmaul to turn in. You can see where he is on the map here in comparison to the town. If you want to turn them in as you get them, you can run down immediately and do that as well. Now, I'm going to show you exactly how to get there from the town. And while I'm running there, I'll give you a few more details. Once you've learned this mount, you can use it on your alts. Some of the other mounts require you to reach Renown 80 for the Covenant that is designated for in order to use it on alts, but this is not a Covenant specific mount, so you can use it as soon as you get it and on all of your characters that use mounts. It's a ground mount only. I'm still waiting for Blizzard to want to sell us an item for all of our mounts to fly, but until either that happens or they make a change, this mount is a ground mount. Now, I also said that you can turn the tasty mushrooms in as soon as you get them, but I highly suggest hanging on to the tasty mushrooms until you have all 10 to turn in the same day. There have been reports of patches resetting the turn-in counts, so I think it's probably better if you turn them all in on the same day to prevent the chances of missing out on a turn-in. Okay, so Darkmaul is actually this little lazy guy sleeping over here. I would plan on having to clear around him to be able to turn in. I edited out the fighting for you guys though. To turn these in, you find them in your bags and right-click to use one at a time. Your character holds it out for Darkmaul to smell, and you will then be placed on top of Darkmaul automatically. This has actually changed a little since it was released. Darkmaul used to run off, start running off right away with you as soon as you cut on top, and you get a buff for 2 minutes saying that you are riding Darkmaul and that over time you might become friends. They've changed it so Darkmaul doesn't start running off with you, but instead you can control whether you run around with him or just sit there. The buff is not currently showing up when I'm on him, but it shows up when I jump off of him quickly. Now, you don't have to ride him for the 2 minutes, but I suggest waiting until the buff falls off before turning in again. There have also been reports of turning in too quickly and a turn-in not counting. To avoid the possibility of a turn-in not counting, I sat on him a little longer than I probably needed. It takes so long to get the tasty mushrooms that I did not want to chance something not counting. I'm showing you all the turn-ins because I did something slightly different with each one. I realize there are plenty of people that don't care about the different variations of crazy runarounds that Darkmaul has, so if you want to jump ahead, you can see how it looks when you actually get them out, and then what it looks like in case you're trying to decide if it's worth your time to actually get this mount. I've gotten this on 2 different accounts now, so I think it's worth it. But I know that Korthia is not the most fun place in the game, and it takes a lot of time and patience to get the tasty mushrooms. He basically runs around for most of this. There's a couple times he does some weird things that I can't really explain. It seems to be pretty random. Sometimes Darkmaul ran around like a crazy bear for a long time before the buff wore off. I can't completely tell what caused him to run around for so long before the buff fell off on its own. I had not been taking off the buff myself up to this point, and to be honest, I thought it had bugged out because it took quite a while for this to stop running around. I was debating on whether or not to click off that buff when it finally disappeared. I have no idea why he ran so long. So I also tested what happens if you click off the buff after you jump off without waiting for the buff to actually come off on its own. This was a really long run around. I still do not know what caused it. So here I tested it and clicked it off immediately, and you can see he's actually running around and sleeping at the same time. I seriously thought I bugged it out at this point and was a little concerned that it wouldn't count. But to stop any chance of anything being bugged out, I waited until there was only one of them to turn it in again before continuing. I also decided to run around on him for a little to see if that helped reduce the crazy running around time, but I just think it's random. I tested running around with him for the full 2 minutes. I didn't see anything special. There were no speed changes. Nothing really special happened. You're going to have to take my word for it, though, because I wasn't going to torture you for 2 more minutes of nothing. Of course, I had to come back and fight my way back in, so that is all edited out also. I finished up the last 2 turn-ins the same way I started, jumping off with him instead of running around. I find it funny that Darkmaul loses interest in me so quickly, though. Maybe he was interested in me longer that time. He ran around for a long time. Now here you can see on the last turn-in that as soon as I had the last one out, the mount went into my bags. This means you will need to actually use the item to learn the mount. I don't know if this will ever get changed to where you just learn them out automatically, but so far it's an item that goes into your bags. You can kind of see what the icon looks like here, but you can always use the bag search feature if you can't find it in your bags. Make sure you right click it and learn it. So aside from being a rather avid mount collector, I'm also a big time purple lover. So I felt like this mount was a must-have. He has a cute little mount special. Digs in the ground and jumps around a little bit. Now he runs pretty smoothly. I don't feel like I'm going to be sick when using it. It's kind of an important feature. His jump's kind of cute, so I think it's a really good mount for people to try to collect. I know it can take a while to get, but if you're out in Korthia, you might as well pick up the invasive mushrooms to eventually get this guy. Oh yeah, one last thing. After you get the mount, you won't see Darkmaul anymore sleeping in his spot because he's in your collection instead. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the game.